Hi, everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. And thank you all for being here and paying attention and being active. We're going to throw a lot of information at you today about how to pay for college and all of your options for how to make your future affordable. I am Ms. Pacumpra. I am a school counselor with last names R-E through Z, and the whole team is here today. Ms. Donato, Ms. Page, Mr. Malaki, and our lovely counseling intern, Ms. McDonald. And so we're going to throw a lot of information out at you. Please keep in mind this is going to be recorded and we're going to have the slides posted. So no stress, just listen, take notes, take note of any questions. The question portion is open. So mentorship teachers, if you have a student that has a question, they can maybe pass you a note and then you can type it in the chat and then it'll be monitored throughout the presentation. All right, let's go. Here's our agenda. Oh, also one thing, as each counselor presents, we're also going to talk about how we individually paid for college, just to get an idea of this. Also, any person that you know that has gone to college has had to pay for it somehow. So we'll share a little bit of our personal stories as well with each presenter. So for me personally, I went to 3 undergraduate colleges because I did not have a great direction on where I wanted to go. So I went to Eastern Washington University, Seattle Central Community College, and then I transferred and graduated to the University of Washington. And for each of those, I had submitted my FAFSA and qualified for different grants and loans. So for the first 2 years, my college was actually paid for based off of my income. And then for my last 2 years, I had about a 50% student loan and the rest was covered by grants and work study. I had 2 work study positions in my 4 years of undergrad. One was at an elementary school tutoring elementary school students. It was super fun. And then the next one was like a library assistant, kind of helping with information desk. And that was actually pretty fun too. So yeah, that's just a little bit about how I paid for college. Happy to talk about it more with y'all individually. So for today's agenda, we're going to go over what is financial aid, the Western Undergraduate Exchange, or it's commonly referred to as the WUI, and that's a good access point for Western out-of-state school options. Trade schools, how they're more affordable and some options there. Scholarships, how to approach it, how to look for them. The Seattle Promise, which is a local program that is solely for SPS graduates, and we're gonna bang it out with the FAFSA at the end. So yeah, next slide. Financial aid. What is it? So what is it? It is very simply money that will help you pay for college. What does this look like? It could be grants, which is money. It's money given to you. So it's free money, basically. There's also scholarships, which require an application or some kind of process in order to meet that need. And there are different levels of scholarships, different amounts of money, and different ways you can access them. There's work study, which is a little bit about what I experienced. So it's a job that you typically have at your college, that money then goes towards tuition, books, things that are college related. And then loans. And loans are money that you borrow either from private financial entities or from the federal government. And then you pay those back after you graduate with interest. And I think I'm kicking it off to Mr. Malaki next. Oh, you're muted, Mr. Malaki.
Hello again. Yeah, Mr. Malaki here. I'm the counselor for students with last names starting with KO through RA. And like Ms. Pacumpra said, I want to share a little bit about how I paid for college. When I paid for college, I applied for through the FAFSA process. And when I applied, I was given the financial aid package of some Pell Grants, some work study, and also I was given some Stafford loans, which are sort of loans that are subsidized by the federal government, where you don't have to start paying on interest until you graduate from college. And that's how I afforded I got to pay for my undergraduate at WSU and my master's program at the University of Washington. So let's talk about the WUI, Western Undergraduate Exchange. This is an amazing program. If you are a student that's thinking about wanting to go to study out of state, a lot of out-of-state tuition is 300 times the in-state tuition. The WUI is an agreement between, did I say 300 times? Oh yeah, Ms. McCaffrey. 3 times. Sorry, that's a lot of money, it was 300 times. No, just 3 times the amount of in-state tuition. And as you see on the screen there on the left-hand side, these are all the states that are involved in the WUI. Not all colleges in each state are a part of it, but it's a really great collection of universities. If you ever had the thought of traveling out of state to study, this is a really great way to make it affordable. And then it says here, what do you need to qualify? There's some minimum requirements that you have to meet. Each school has some different requirements. And then you can find out about what those requirements are by each individual school's application process. As you go through the process of applying, you'll find out how to apply for the WUI in regards to that school's program, and then you just follow through that process. On the bottom there's a link to all the different schools a part of the WUI and the majors that they're a part of that are offered and things like that. So on another time, please click on that link and find out if you can go to University of Hawaii. Should be pretty awesome to go to school in Hawaii. And here's sort of the basic steps of the WUI program. You go to the WUI website, you review the colleges, and if you wanted to go to school in California, on this here, step number 1, there's a hyperlink. Click on that hyperlink, and it kind of shows you all the colleges that are available in California that study journalism, if that's something that you wanted to get into. The next step for the student that wanted to get into journalism would be they would notice the journalism program is eligible in the WUI with the WUI rate. On step 3, you can read there the steps that it takes for a person that wants to go to school in California. The steps are pretty self-explanatory, and again, it's all pretty dependent on the university, and it's a really great way if you were thinking about doing school outside of Washington State to be able to afford it. And now I get a chance to talk to you about trade schools. Now, if you're wondering about what a trade school is, Ms. Donato. All right, trade schools are sort of technical schools that are just another path that a person can take that is not the traditional 4-year university. And they're sort of specific to certain career paths. On there are certain career paths, like you take certain training in regards to being a cosmetologist, culinary arts, if you want to be a filmmaker, a bunch of different certificates and programs if you have, if you can take if you want to do a certain career path or a certain career. What's really amazing about the trade and technical path is some of what's highlighted on the bottom there. You don't spend a lot of time getting your certificate to do that trade, which means you don't need to invest a lot of money into that, and you can get paid at a pretty high wage pretty quickly. There are high demand positions. It's a path for a person to take if they're interested in working with their hands. It normally takes only a 2-year degree, an associate degree, or just a 1 to 2 year certification program. And for most programs, it normally just accepts a high school. You only just need a high school diploma or a GED. So that's just another path that a person can take. And so the next slide just kind of talks to you about sort of the immediate sort of benefits the qualifications one needs to go through the trades program or the trades route. On the left-hand side, you have a snapshot of what a person does if they are a radiation therapist. The required education is just sort of a high school diploma or a GED, a 2-year associate or certificate program, and then you pass an exam. And like the bullet point there says, there's going to be a 7% increase. Your median, your average annual salary is $86,000, close to $86,000, and starting salary is $66,000. And if you didn't know, that's a pretty good starting salary. All right, especially if you're just 2 years into your schooling after high school. All right, and for an electrician, there's another example, similar required education, 8% increase through the next available or next 7 years. Medium salary of $56,000 and starting salary of $36,000. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you're a person that likes to work with your hands, the trades might be a great way to pursue your education after high school. And now I get a chance to pass it over to Miss Page. No, pass it over to Mr. McDonald. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milan. Hi everyone, I'm Miss McDonald. I am your school counseling intern, and I'm stoked to talk about scholarships with you today. A big reason that I got to go to UW, repping it back here, from my small town in Utah is through scholarships, as well as student loans, like our other counselors have spoke of. So if you go to the next slide, I can run you through some of the main points of scholarships. So basically, this money comes from groups who have a vested interest in you going to college. So they're like, I want someone like you to go to college. Here's the money that you need to do so. So that could be the federal government, that could be specific universities, foundations, wanting you to go to college. So you can get a scholarship based on a few things. Some of the scholarships are based off of your academic standing and the community work that you do. And so when you apply for that scholarship, you really highlight your grades, your academic history, and your volunteer history. Some of the scholarships are based on your identity. So based off of really any identity that you hold, there's going to be a scholarship out there for you. And that's to make sure that it's equitable for everyone, that you have the opportunity to go to college. There's also some scholarships based off of skill and your interests. So let's say that you are an athlete or an artist. You can go ahead and apply for scholarships that apply to you. If you are a marble shooter or any sort of random activity that you like to do, you'll probably find a scholarship for that. If you're a fan of Magic the Gathering, you could find a scholarship for that. Some scholarship applications may require that you write an essay, some may require that you submit something, or just complete an application. And so it's based off of the scholarship that you're looking at. If you go to your school counselor's Schoology page, you're going to find a link for Seattle Public Schools scholarships. And it's a bulletin board that links you to scholarships, and they rotate monthly, and so there's always going to be new opportunities for you to get that money. So here's some examples of scholarships just to get you a sense of what's out there. It's really broad. I just picked a few that I thought looked really cool. So Amazon Future Engineers Scholarship, if you are a high school senior who has taken a few computer science courses and you plan on pursuing that in your undergraduate degree and you have a GPA of at least 3.0, then you are eligible to apply for the scholarship. So it's $10,000 a year, $40,000 total, and you get one paid internship over the summer with Amazon. Those are the application requirements. Each one's going to have their own. Another one is the Atsuhiko Tacheuchi Memorial Scholarship. So this is for students of Asian ancestry and demonstrating financial need. And so if that's you, this is something you could apply for and get $5,000 a year. And I wanted to highlight this one because I think it's just fun and shows that you can get really creative with scholarships. So really anything that you can think of is a scholarship out there waiting to give you money. So Stuck at Prom is a scholarship that Duct Tape hosts, where they have students create a prom outfit that they want to wear, and then the winners get $10,000 worth of scholarship money. So there's a lot out there for you. Just go ahead and explore and see what fits your needs. Lastly, in terms of scholarship, I wanted to highlight the College Bound Scholarship. So a few of you in middle school signed up to be a College Bound Scholar. And so your counselor is going to reach out to you personally and give you more information on that, but you've got a lot of exciting things coming your way if that's you. You'll get a lot more information as your counselor reaches out to you.
Who's next?
Hi, Ms. McDonald. This is Hope Donato, Counselor Hope Donato. This is my first time presenting in the format I am, and it looks like I cannot bring myself onto the screen. So I'm just going to talk, and that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to bring you off of the screen, though. That way you don't just have to sit there. Hello.
I see Seattle Promise. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I see the Seattle Promise.
Cool.
Just won't be able to see me. So I am just gonna go ahead and go through all things Seattle Promise. I'm gonna try to make this quick because we are, going through mentorship pretty quickly, and we have a lot of great information here. And one of the reasons I'm doing this a little bit quickly is because we are going to have a rep from Seattle Promise here a ton this year. So we have a lot of information coming out to you on this, and I just want to touch on a few key things. So one thing I do want to say is that, just speaking of like my own experience in going to school and getting all of my stuff paid for, is that I'm a veteran. So I don't know if you've met me yet, but if you're on my caseload, I am Counselor Hope Donato, A through EH, and the way that I paid for my schooling is I kind of prepaid, and I joined the Air Force. So I did that, and I got a lot of things through the post 9/11 GI Bill, which paid for a lot, and then through vocational rehab, because I'm a disabled veteran, I got even more support. So that's how I paid for my schooling, but everyone has their own path, and I'm excited to share the Seattle Promise because part of what I did in the Air Force was got my Community College of the Air Force Associates. So yeah, I really, really love community college, and I attended a ton of different ones while I was active duty. So the Seattle Promise provides 2 years of free tuition at Seattle colleges and additional financial support for college costs, personal guidance to succeed. That personal guidance is really, really thoughtful. It is a quarterly 30-minute meeting with someone that's just there for you to make sure that you have support through your community college experience. All Seattle public high school graduates are eligible regardless of grade point average, income, ability, or country of birth. One of the things that we want to talk about is that there are a lot of trade school programs at South, North, and Central with the Seattle Promise. So we will be highlighting a lot of those with our rep and make sure that you know all about that. Okay. This is just, again, I just want to highlight this. You're going to have access to these slides. So I'm not going to go through and read every little thing on here, but we want to make sure that you have this information. So this, again, is for every Seattle Public Schools student, graduate, or graduate student. And there's just a lot of really good information around everything that it covers through all of these slides. It can cover up to 90 credits of free tuition, and it can prepare you to transfer to a 4-year program, or you can get a really rad associate degree. I mean, there's a lot of different opportunities through this, so please check it out. You can see on the bottom here at seattlecolleges.edu/promise a lot more information. I'm going to just pause for a moment and ask you if you want to pull out your phone and you can like look at all of these things if the QR code works, or you can just type in those links. So this would just be something you could look at. If you don't feel like looking at it now, no big. You can definitely come back to this presentation. So some of the really big dates we just want to make sure you're aware of are that you need to submit the Seattle Promise application by February 1st. You need to submit the college admissions application to either North, Central, or South Seattle College by February 1st. And you need to make sure that you fill out FAFSA or WASFA by April 30th. And then there's another college financial aid deadline that's August 1st. The reason that we really, really want to push these deadlines is they're very firm. If you have like a 0.00001% chance you want to use this scholarship, sign up. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to use it or anything like that. Just sign up, because this is just something really, really great for you to have as an option.
Ms. Donato, we also have this brochure, the Seattle Promise brochure, in the counseling center.
Exactly. That is great. Yeah, we have that in our counseling center, the exact thing that you're seeing on the screen. So if you want a copy of this, drop by. Okay, so this is just the link that will be in here, so you can come back to it and click the apply button. Mr. Ramos is going to be in the library Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can also email him, and he is going to be really, really supportive of all of our Seattle Promise scholars. So really look out for him. He's going to be giving us a ton of support. I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Miss Page. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Ms. Donato. Hi, everyone. My name is Ms. Page. Before we get started, I paid for college through a combination of scholarships, grants, and student loans. I went straight into a four-year university. I'm an East Carolina pirate from North Carolina. I guess I'm really passionate about FAFSA and WASFA because I believe that every student should be entitled to a higher education if that's the route that they choose. And FAFSA and WASFA makes that possible for students in the state of Washington. Talk about that in this section. Why should you apply for FAFSA WASFA? If you're a student that's interested in receiving a federal or state scholarship, if you're interested in the student loan, work study, any of those programs or a grant, then you will have to fill out the FAFSA or the WASFA in order to be able to be eligible to gain those that money. It's the first step toward receiving financial assistance. Should you apply for WASFA or FAFSA? A lot of students ask this question. So a good way to kind of check which category you fall under. If one of the following applies to you, then you would probably want to apply for WASFA. So your immigration status, or you're undocumented. If your parents or family members do not wish to file a FAFSA, or they're undocumented, or you have defaulted federal loans, or you have repayments owed on federal grants, or you're unable to provide selective service confirmation, then you should probably apply for the WAFSA. If none of those apply to you, then you apply for the FAFSA. And when should you apply for the FAFSA? The FAFSA and the WAFSA open up today. Today is the first day for you to apply. So please go home, spend the weekend applying. It's not that hard at all. It's not as scary as it seems. If you need any additional help with applying for either application, counselors are here to help you. Students do have until June 30th to apply for either application, but because the aid is awarded to students, on the basis until until the funds are depleted, the earlier you apply, then the better it is for the students. But the application opens up today. Below, you can see different links that take you to, if you want to review the steps to apply for the FAFSA application website, and then also the same goes for WAFSA as well. So please review those links. They'll take you to those to the right websites. And then what happens after you file the FAFSA and the WAFSA? So after you submit the FAFSA or the WAFSA application, you're going to receive an email copy of your student aid report. The student aid report basically just tells you, based off of the information that you've given, this is what you qualified for. This is what the state or the federal government expects your family to contribute in terms of college tuition. Keep this report very important. Most of the time, typically colleges that you listed on the FAFSA or WAFSA, they'll email you an award package. This is going to be contingent on you being accepted into the school. Some colleges do require you to reach out to their financial aid offices if you're interested in receiving aid. This is a big time when I say advocate, advocate, advocate for yourself. A lot of times these colleges have extra money that they don't like to tell students about, and I tell students, hey, go in there and literally tell them, I don't have enough money to pay for school. I need more money. What can I do to get qualified for more money? And a lot of times those colleges have some extra money, whether it's $500, $1,000, any amount of money counts. So please don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. And then lastly, if you accept student loans, I just want it to be put out there that after you graduate from college, you are expected to pay those student loans back. It's a loan that you receive from the government, so you do have to pay those back. And then as far as a review of the FAFSA and the WAFSA steps, first you're going to narrow down a list of community colleges and universities that you're interested in. After you've narrowed down that list, you're going to gather the documents that you need to apply for the FAFSA. And we have a cheat sheet that we made for you all. It's going to be on the next page, but you can access that at any time. Using that cheat sheet, you're going to complete and submit your FAFSA or your WAFSA. The sooner, like we said, the better. And then after you submit your FAFSA or your WAFSA, you're going to receive your student aid report within 3 days to 3 weeks. And then finally, after you've completed and submitted everything, make sure that you are meeting the deadlines of the schools that you are interested in. Most of them usually require the FAFSA to be completed by early February. And then on the next page, this is an overview of what you will need to complete the FAFSA and the WAFSA. Both applications pretty much require the same thing, your social security number. If you are completed the WAFSA, you'll need your 1797 for our DACA students. And then you'll need your federal income tax returns or your W-2s or any other records of money that you've earned, that your parents have earned. Bank statements and records of investments, records of untaxed income, and then if you're a dependent student, which most of you are going to be dependent students, you'll also need most of the above information for your parents. And then, sorry. On this page, this video gives an overview of the FAFSA website and how to navigate filling out the FAFSA application. And the same goes for the link on the right-hand side for WAFSA as well. So please make sure to take the time to go through each of those after the presentation. All right, and then on this page, that's the FAFSA cheat sheet that I was referring to. This sheet is amazing. It literally goes through different scenarios. Most of the questions that students have about, should I apply as an independent student? Should I apply as a dependent student? It takes you through those steps to determine which category you fall under. So I would highly suggest before going to any other resource, go to that resource first. There's so much on here. All right. And then last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Ms. Pacamfora.
Hi, y'all. So that was a lot of information. It will be available to you. If you have questions, go to your Counselor Schoology page. There is a link there for the bookings tool for 12th grades. We have specific 12th grade meetings. You can select that option, select a time that works for you. If you would like to meet with Ms. McDonald, who is a wealth of information, you can use this QR code or that tiny URL, and you can book an appointment with her there. We also just unveiled a new Instagram. Bear with us as we get it up and going. It is at Lincoln Counseling. Many of your parents have already followed it, but we want you to follow it. So please follow it, and we'll get you some information. I'm gonna just put a little bit of a thing up right now. Here we go. Smile. There we are. All right, cool. Okay, anyway, thank you all. You have a few minutes left of mentorship. If you have 5 minutes, you can go make your FSA ID right now. So go get your laptop open, make your FSA ID with your last 5 minutes of class, and we hope you have a fantastic weekend. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Go Lynx!
Go Lynx! Woo!